Welcome to Inner Voice of Knowing podcast. I'm Kaye Doran, a shamanic leadership coach and healer, guiding you through life with a foot in both worlds. When you understand the terrain of the inner landscapes, the mental, emotional, spiritual, and energetic, you will become the leader within your physical life, both personally and professionally. After all, the power of change is in your hands. Let's get this journey started. Welcome back to Inner Voice of Knowing. We've been talking a lot about energy and following the roadmaps, etc. But I really want to address this conversation today because I get asked this question quite often. It's also been a lifelong observation of what takes place, especially because all the work that I do is really about retuning you back into understanding that you're soul and energy first and dialing up your inner voice of knowing. So what actually hinders you? What gets in the way of you being aligned with that voice, with you recognizing that voice, with you following that voice? And here's the thing. The world, as the world is predominantly being led right now, is very much by logic and reason and statistics and false stories and beliefs like the harder you work, the more you gain. Striving rather than allowing. It's all from the mind and movement within the external physical reality. Listening to constant news programs, receiving constant information fed back into us that creates an energetic clutter. It disconnects you from being tapped into and attuned to your incredibly powerful GPS, your inner voice of knowing. It limits you to one way of receiving information, and that is externally. And there is no greater knowing than the wisdom within the universe, which is within yourself, that doesn't fit logic, and therefore it is not always trusted. It guides us in the most unexpected directions and asks of us to let go, to allow, to trust. Yet the more that we do that, the more magical our life becomes, the more we get into a sense of flow in unmasking. So I'm not saying that logic and reason don't have a place. They do. But the inner realms, the unseen realm, is potent in guiding you through your physicality, your physical reality. And without it, it has led us to feeling stressed, overwhelmed, exhausted, lack of energy. It's become a contraction, only living from one of the totality of the energy that we are. So the more that you want to tap into your inner knowing, the more you'll block it because you're in such a state of wanting. And whenever you're in wanting, the universe will say, okay, let's keep you in a state of wanting. There's too much effort involved with the wanting. Now, that is very different from having an intention Okay, the intention to dial into and dial up your inner voice of knowing is very different. It's infused within your whole body, but it's not forceful. It's an invitation for that alignment to take place. When you are living a life only from what is logical, that state also of, well, I'll believe it when I see it. Some things are unseen. They're felt. They're experienced. They're faith built, if you like, and the faith leads us into that sense of knowing. If you're constantly trying to reason about the things that you can't make sense of, you are keeping the gate closed. You are not in the frequency of tuning into your inner voice of knowing. If you make your most dominant force within you is about your intellect, you're living in a realm separate from where the magic is. If you only live from statistics, now I'm not saying that these things are bad, but they need to be measured and tempered with the unseen world of the magic that isn't logical. It is felt, mystical, if you like, but more real, more natural to your state of being than this physical reality. Because remember, we are soul, you are soul and energy first and foremost. Not physical first and then soul and energy. And in order to know why you're here, you need to be attuned to your inner knowing, power and potential, source, soul, successful self. And that takes a letting go of all the structures and creating a space for the flow of that energy and bringing about a sense of conscious awareness. And when you unmask the limitations, the false stories and beliefs, when you remember that you are soul and energy first and foremost, and everything is energy and everyone is soul connected to source, you will reframe how you move through this world. You will have two halves of a whole to function from, to make choice from, to move forwards from. There is an intelligence within the universe that is within you, that when you fine-tune, is that inner voice of knowing, filled with knowledge and wisdom of the universe and all that has been before you and all that is before you. So there's a field within yourself that you need to prepare. Now, you've heard me talk about owning your own energy and cutting cords and heart intelligence breathing. All of that is what is required for you to develop and remember this other side of yourself. To remember, to bring back into your conscious awareness as an integral part of the very natural order and way of being you. So we can have the intent, but we must also create the space to get into the resonance, like dialing into a radio station. So one of those elements, a powerful element of that, is meditation. Because meditation over time develops you to be the witness of what is taking place with the energy of your thoughts, of your emotions, of your constructs around time, and to become the witness of also the inner workings of you. And over time, you learn to be in the now moment where there is less thought. And you go into a state of being. Be in. And the G is God. So you put yourself into a state of receptivity. Hence all these shamanic spiritual practices, like cultivating a garden for growth that enables you to be grounded in your thought, in your action, and in response to your experiences. Because everything is designed for you, created from you, and here to grow and cultivate you at that soul level. When you make decisions, you need the measured approach of the unseen and the seen, of that guidance, of that inner voice, and a certain amount of processes that you might go through, the weighing up the positives and the negatives. But at the end of the day, when that voice is so loud and you've come to understand the power of that, and you know that there's a place for your logic and reasoning and certain statistics, but there is something even more powerful beyond that that needs to walk hand in hand within your existence, within your life, then you will start to feel that voice. You will start to hear that voice, and it's a whole-bodied experience. It's so loud. And the more you allow that voice and you are guided by that voice, the louder that it will become. And the more empowered will be the action that you take in this world. So if you are only weighing in on one aspect, if you are only living a foot within your physicality, you're missing half of the magic. You're using half of your power and potential. So why would you not fully fuel yourself up? Now, life can't just be lived purely by turning inwards. You must express yourself and act in this physical reality. But those big leaps, those aspirations, those callings that tell you to do something, but you then bring fear to, and then you bring logic to, but I can't because you are robbing yourself of your power and your potential. You are limiting your creative capacity. You are denying your soul direction and your soul calling. And when you live only purely from the external reality, from logic and reasoning and intellect and statistics that might tell you that you can't because the statistics tell you, there's a new world being carved. There's a new pathway being developed. It's actually always been there. And we're being asked to remember, to tune back into, to surrender, and to trust that which we can't see, but we undoubtedly feel and know when we allow ourselves to. Staying in fear, staying in doubt, staying in insecurities, being held prisoner as though you've been pirated by all these false stories and beliefs, robs you. So it's that turning vision inwards. It's that recognizing that you are soul and energy first, and it's working with your energy. You change your energy, you change your life. Don't be powerfully only plugged into your physical reality. Plug into the wealth, the wisdom, the knowledge, the insight, the power and potential by developing the skills of turning your vision inwards and retuning yourself back into your truest and most natural self. That inner realm, the universal intelligence, the power, potential, and beauty, your GPS in life, your inner voice of knowing. And yes, for some, when you first start or you're called to go next level in this, it can feel daunting. But when you ask for the wisdom, when you call upon that inner voice of knowing, when you call upon source or soul, then let it go, get out of your own way, keep moving, and then trust when it comes through. Because if you're constantly wanting the answer, the insight straight away, you are standing in your own way. It's time to learn a new way. And the only way is to try it out and see how it works for you. Allow the magic and the miraculous. Because remember, you can't see round corners. You don't see the whole picture. These gifts have been used and utilized for a very long time. And when you understand how the energy works, you work with the energy. So work with your heart intelligence, breathing. Set your intention to attune yourself to your inner voice of knowing. expand your energy. Let go of everything having to make sense in that moment and allow the sense to be made after you've followed that inner guidance. Allow the mystery to unfold. Because without the mystery, where's the excitement? Do you really want your life to be completely predictable, where you're controlling everything? Or is that where the boredom comes from? Is that where those questions come from? Surely there's more to this. Become aware of what is holding you back, what is getting in the way, and address them. Unveil them. Don't allow the illusion that's become the intrusion. I quite often say to clients, it's about learning to think with the heart and feel with the mind. And I know it seems foreign. And if you're sitting here listening to this episode going, yes, I know, take a breath and ask the power question, am I living? Am I breathing? Am I applying this? Or am I still coming to know? Because knowing is a full-bodied experience. It's a full-bodied sensation, a full-bodied feeling. It's not just from the head. It's fully infused throughout you. So, in what area do you need to develop in order to expand your energy and fine-tune to dial in to your inner voice of knowing, power and potential? What is it that you need to let go of? Is it certainty? Is it control? Is it fear? Doubt? Insecurity? Because remember, truth is beyond the shadow of your belief systems. Do you need to unplug a little from social media, from TV? What do you need to implement in order to turn your vision inwards, in order to learn to be the witness, and in order to become more masterful over the energy of your mind? What is it that you need to implement in order to live with a foot in both worlds? And if you need a hand in achieving all of this, reach out to me and ask me about my program, The Launching Pad. Because the change and the transformation starts from within. It starts with expansion of the energy. And like I said before, you change your energy, you change your life. And without your inner voice of knowing, you're only half fueled. Catch you on the next episode. Join me on my next episode. And if you love this podcast, please subscribe by clicking on the plus button if you're on Apple, or like and follow on Spotify. Rate and review. And please share Inner Voice of Knowing with your friends.